a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Listen to that applause. Probably not as loud as the applause at a performance of Hamilton, but still. We do. Buttons and bows and pantyhose. On the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give a damn. These cooler temperatures in LA are giving me winter vibes. And of course, winter means you want to be cuddly and want to be next to somebody for the holidays. Well, I went on a date this last week. After 10 minutes of loud chewing, not from me, from him, I was like, nope, still want to be single. I'll buy my own damn Christmas presents this year. Bloop. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air and on Facebook On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. The show is presented by Straw Hat Media. You can watch and or listen to our now 300 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and on the Out.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with pride on SVTV, and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. We're on the East Coast 4 times a week. Oh, those poor people. Anyway, share, subscribe, leave a comment, order me Postmates, whatever you want to do. I'm there for you. The show is brought to you by FanDaddies.com, bringing you high fives and good vibes with their premium clacking fans. Okay, here we go. With a variety of sassy sayings and pop culture patterns. Check out all of their unique designs by their talented artists from all over the nation. They even have video game motifs, Star Trek motifs. Use first 15 to save 15% off your first order at fandaddies.com. All right, let's get this show on the road. I need a sip, and if you're drinking at home with me, raise a glass. Let's have a sip. And if you're sober, God bless you. Thank you for driving me home. I need it. Our guest of honor today... and I'm just going to reiterate this, just finished performing in Hamilton minutes ago. Warren Egypt Franklin currently stars in the 4th season of Grownish as Des, a gender-fluid queer track star in college. I'm not going to give too much away from the storyline because the season's not done. While this is Warren's first TV role, he is no stranger to performing. He stars in the touring company of Hamilton as Lafayette, Thomas Jefferson, and he is the youngest actor to play the role in a touring company. He is a triple threat talent. His first lead role was in Footloose at age 14. He's a graduate from Wallace University. Life literally took off even right before graduation. And when he's not touring the country with his castmates or filming on set, he loves music. He refers to it as his language. He enjoys focusing on self-care, going to the gym, eating clean, and putting his thoughts on paper. You might catch him watching a game or seeing one in person. Sports are very important to him, and we're going to talk about that. He looks forward to his next job or perhaps another season of Grownish. Are you listening, producers? Another season of Grownish, so he can experience filming in a post-COVID world. He's also hard at work writing his first television pilot. Please welcome Warren Egypt Franklin.
Hello, guys.
Hello. I love that you're all color coordinated with your background, too. Like, boop.
I didn't plan that. That's really crazy.
Okay, before we get to the nitty-gritty, you literally just finished performing. What is your after-show usual ritual process? How long does it take for you before you actually catch your breath?
Yeah, no, I was just talking to Lauren about this. I have a wig hair because I wear a wig in Act 2 as Thomas Jefferson, and I wear my regular hair as Lafayette. But yeah, it's pretty fast to get out of everything. I come out of costume, I go upstairs in my dressing room, play some music to either kind of mellow me out if I have really high octane energy, or if I'm feeling like drained and tired, I'll play some upbeat music to make me feel good again. So yeah, that's really it. Drink a lot of water because it's a 3-hour roller coaster ride from start to finish, and yeah, that's really it to getting out of the swing of things from the show.
And it's the type of show that once it starts, you better hold on to your horse. There's no downtime. There's no, going for a drink or a smoke in between acts or songs or whatnot. It literally is this kind of roller coaster of a show. And I can't even imagine what's going on backstage and what's going on emotionally and physically for you as a performer. Now, tell us about some of the realities of life on the road for this physically and emotionally draining show.
Yeah, I don't think people, well, first of all, I just got to say, and I think even people in the film and TV industry have agreed with me, Broadway performers are superhumans. So respect to any Broadway people if you are a Broadway performer, period. But if you do Broadway tours, it's even harder because you have a Friday night show, you have 2 Saturday shows, and 2 Sunday shows. So it's a 5 show weekend, whereas on Broadway, typically you do 2 Wednesday shows and 2 Saturday shows, but you just do that one Sunday matinee show, and then you have Monday off. So to be able to do a 5 show week of a show like Hamilton, this show was not built to do 5 show weekends. The fact that it happens is really crazy. But anytime I think about complaining, I see all the amazing, beautiful people around me who's sticking it out. And but yeah, I don't think people get how hard it is to travel with a show like this. And now we're in Jacksonville. We were just in Atlanta. The air quality is different. The water is different. I had to sleep with the humidifier so that my voice works, and I can't talk to people before the show because I don't want to exhaust my voice, and I have to know when to speak and when to use my voice and when to steam. It's a lot you have to do, and that's just vocally. There's so many things physically and mentally as well you have to do to keep in check. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm so happy that I get to do this.
Well, and that is one of the realities. We see when there's like a show and it's captured like in a movie or something, there's cast parties and everybody's going out afterwards. The reality is you have to rest your voice. Otherwise, you can't do your job the next day. And there's always a next day when you're in a show like what you're doing, traveling from city to city. There is no day off. There's always the next day at work.
Yeah, even our Mondays off sometimes, which is our days off, those are travel days. So those are even really hard because it's technically our day off, but it's just really traveling to the next city. So like I said, they're superhumans. But one thing that keeps me going and keeps me pushing that I think about is, first of all, theater in general is just so damn expensive, but Hamilton is even more expensive with it being the most popular show right now. And people some season subscribers have waited 2 or 3 years to get these tickets. They have counted down. They have rented hotels and cars and got babysitters and so much that it took to get to this show that you have to give them the best show possible because they've done so much to get here. Also, I always do this little trick in my mind. It's somebody's first time in the theater, period. So this is somebody's first time even experiencing theater, and it's also somebody's last time ever that they don't even know, young or old, So you got to perform like it's the last time every time. At least that's what I do to try to, when I'm tired, I'm like, this is why we're here,
Now, Warren, I want to know a little bit, even though you're around your castmates and your crew, and in order for the show to work, you have to work as one complete unit, but going from city to city, not being in a home base, kind of being with your coworkers, so to speak, but then going to your hotel room or apartment or whatever after the show, can it be a little isolating doing the show week after week without kind of roots or kind of the comforts of home?
Yeah, so one thing, the pandemic changed me so much because I'm such a different person in the sense of I'm just more vulnerable and honest. And I think sometimes we associate the word vulnerability, especially with men and especially Black men, as a weakness or something that's bad. But being vulnerable is actually a superpower, and it's a superpower that I've tried to use. And me pre-pandemic, especially with me being the youngest person in the cast, I never called out. I never wanted to call out. I never wanted to show my cast that I was weak or tired or to disappoint anyone or all these things in my head where I was like, well, they're going to think I'm unprofessional and this and that, and I have to do this. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. My mental health is more important. And this time around, I am going to take more personal days and vacations and to call out more, not to just call out, but to be, because I don't call out for no reason. I don't, unless I'm sick or so. but not to push myself to the edge where I make myself sick because I'm vocally exhausted and I'm mentally exhausted, you know, to be able to take days because that's what they're there for. And we have amazing covers and understudies that's what they're paid to be there as well. And to not try to impress anyone, because the only person that I need to really impress is myself and God, you know. As long as I'm making him proud and making my family and my friends proud, that's all that matters. But I've grown because that was not me before. I started the tour when I was 22, and I'm now 24, a little bit older and a little bit wiser, still growing and learning. But yeah, mentally, if you can't do that show and your mental health is not in the correct place, and I think anybody who's done Hamilton can attest to this, if you aren't mentally good with you, how can I dare tap into two totally different people, you know? So I'm really thankful that I can say that now and move differently.
Well, and I have to say this, and this is not to throw shade at other actors, but we've had the benefit of interviewing a lot of up-and-comers that have their first show on the CW or they're new in the reality TV scene. It's a very different conversation, and it's a different energy than when I talk to somebody young that comes from the theater world. The theater kids, so to speak, I never have to worry about being on time, showing up, doing the interview, or knowing what hard work is like. There's just a different culture and there's a different mentality when a performer comes from the theater world.
Yeah, and I you know, your name and your reputation is everything. And I always want people to know I'm not perfect, and I will never try to be perfect, but I want my name to be synonymous with excellence. And for people to know that I tried and that I'm doing work to the best of my ability, whether it be TV, film, Broadway, music, producing, writing, whatever venture I tap into, I want them to know that I gave them my all and my best, and I was on time, and I like to be the first person there and the last person to leave, you know. That's just like the work ethic that I have. But you're right, a lot of, even back in my college days, a lot of young people don't have that. And I think that's why as young people, we get that bad rep. And that's why I was like, yo, people will not think that about me, son. Like, I need people to know that I'm here to work and I'm ready to go. And I'm not like other young people. And I think that I have made a name for myself within the community that I do work hard. So I'm really happy that.
Well, let's talk about one of your other superhero qualities, and that is your swag. If you've listened to other interviews that Warren's given, you've told the story of how team members from Hamilton came to your school. They did a workshop, and you kind of impressed everybody with your swag. Your first kind of meeting with Lynn backstage at Hamilton, you're like, hey, I'm going to be in this show someday. There's that swag. Now, I want to talk to you. There's always that chance that actors take to have this confidence and knowledge of, yes, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to do this. But then it can also backfire where they're like, oh, God, look at this ego or look at this energy. So tell me about your swag and how you knew, like, this is the time to share my superhero power of swag.
Yeah, no, I think it's such a weird question, but I really think that I don't like to gamble. I think I only been to the casino one time in my life, which was my 21st birthday. We won't go there. But if there's anything that I will bet on, it's myself. No one works harder than me, and no one will put in the energy and the amount of time and effort and the attention to detail that I will, that in any project that I do to make something really good. So much to the point where I drive myself crazy, where sometimes I have to step away from something because I'm like, yo, if you keep thinking about this, you're actually going to ruin something that's good. And I've had friends and family tell me that. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll step away. But I think it's just about believing in yourself. Believing in yourself is a swag. And I've been mistaken for being cocky, you know, which is easy. But also, if you really know me, I have so many insecurities and things that I'm working on and things that I'm scared about and things that make me nervous. And I think it's subjective. But I will say, and I don't, this is a whole different conversation, but I have learned and seen that, especially as a Black man, if you don't cower and keep your head down and you're not afraid to talk and you speak with intelligence and you're articulate and your head is up and your shoulders are back and you know what you want, that's easily mistaken for cockiness or ego. But when my white peers do it, then they're smart, they're intrepid, they are goal driven, they have a great mindset. But why can't I have the same thing? And I really noticed that in college, actually, with some people that I went to college with, and I decided I was going to change the narrative. And I think it's a way for you to still be authentically you, and to be driven, and to know what you want, and to also be, like I said, one of my superpowers that I'm trying to make a superpower is to be vulnerable and to ask for help, and to say, yo, I know how to do X, Y, and Z, but A, B, and C, I'm lost. How can we help each other to create something? So I think that's what I have. I think.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you being vulnerable. I know that you are very private about your personal life. You know, in some of the research and some of the interviews that I've listened to, you do talk about being homeless for a period of time. You do talk about your success that you had in college. Your education in college was all kind of on your own. You had to provide that for yourself. There was no handouts, there was no helping. So when you look at your career and you say, wow, he booked Hamilton right out of college. Wow, he booked Grownish, from first LA auditions. You're like, oh God, he's got it made. But it kind of belies this whole journey that you've had in your life. I don't know if you can kind of talk about some of that difficult time in your life, because a number of performers listen to this show, and we know that we all have our difficult times at different points in our life. Can you kind of talk about that kind of difficult time and what kind of kept you moving forward towards this goal that you've successfully achieved?
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that. A lot of people start my story with my big breakout, which was Hamilton, but I did so many different regional theater works before then, and so many summer stocks and different plays and short fit, like so many different things that are, of course, not as big as Hamilton, but I was working so much before then, and I didn't have anything. And I am very vocal about it. I didn't know sometimes what I would eat the next day. I didn't know. I knew I had an audition in New York City or a showcase or something. I didn't know how I would get there. I would sleep on friends' couches. I would be on overnight Greyhounds. I would do so much, but it was because I grew up, if you don't know, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I didn't grow up in the best of neighborhoods. I didn't go to the most expensive, the nicest high school, but I knew that I didn't want to end up like some of my friends. I saw so many friends growing up who passed away, and so many family members just being at the wrong place at the wrong time and not given the opportunity. And I think that's what it really boils down to. There are so many people where I'm from in Cleveland who are insanely talented. They just don't have the access and the opportunity. So every dollar that I got, I had 3 jobs at one point in high school. I saved up, and I knew I wanted to go to college, and I didn't want to go on a football scholarship. I didn't want to go on a track scholarship. I didn't want to go on any of that. I wanted to go on my own merit and my money and my talent for what I believed that I could do. And I had to make a way, and I knew I didn't have support in doing those things. But hey, either I could take pity for it and be like, yo, no one loves you, no one's gonna help you, or I could start the shift in my family and start generational wealth for my family. And that's what I'm trying to do now. Yeah.
So many people talk about how you're so young for the role of Lafayette, Thomas Jefferson, one of the youngest actors to play that role. But just from what you've said, there's this maturity that you've had to go through. You've had to go through a lot of these kind of life stages that a lot of people don't experience until much later. So you bring this energy to the role. But I want to know also about your creative process in taking the roles in Hamilton, taking over roles that people have listened to the recording over and over and over. They think that they know every inflection, every step that these characters have taken, but now you have to make it Warren's character. What was your creative process in starting this Hamilton journey?
Yeah, well, first of all, the GOAT, Daveed Diggs, is just, and I've said this in many interviews, he inspires me so much, not just with the work he did in Hamilton, but his philanthropy work in the Bay, his producing work, his writing, just everything that he does. But I knew that I wouldn't serve me or anybody watching it if I just did a carbon copy of what he did. So watching him was a masterclass. It taught me a lot. But I think my version of the two characters are driven from actually everything that I didn't maybe see in his, that I thought about, that I put in myself and was like, oh, that I can expand on that moment or use that inflection, or that's definitely the Biggie line right there. So then I could do the Biggie swag there, and that's definitely ripped from Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt. So I can put the spin right there because I have a big background in hip hop music too. So kind of working off of what I saw, but trying to expand moments. But and after a while, after I stopped listening to the soundtrack and got that out of my head, I really didn't think about what he did anymore, just due to the simple fact that if I did, it would hinder and hurt me. So I didn't really look at what David did until the Disney Plus film came out over quarantine. And I was like, wow. And it was actually really funny to watch because I was like, we're so different.
That must have been surreal.
Yeah. But I'm proud of how different it is. And I especially coming back to it because I'm even more mature and I went through even more experiences through the pandemic, where I'm just so proud of where those two characters have come. And it's been with the help of our resident director and our supervising director and our director and our team dance at Hamilton to get, it's not just me and it's not just anybody, and it's a whole team of people. But I'm so happy with where my characters are, and both of them are even better than what they were pre-pandemic. So I'm just so happy with what we have now.
Now, over the last 2 years, what have you learned the most about yourself from these two characters?
I'm capable. I am capable of doing anything. I watch Hamilton when, you have to watch the show and trail and write and take notes and all the things when you're learning. And it was so overwhelming the first time I got the role. And I knew that I would be playing that role and watching the cast do it. Cause you kind of think to yourself like, oh shit, like, am I in over my head right now? Like, can I do that? Like, that's crazy. That's more than a little audition packet. Like, that's 3 hours of nonstop, like just going. And I can, and I do it, and I think I do it well, and I love the people around me, and it's like second nature now. And I really think Hamilton is the most beautiful piece of theater I've ever seen in my life. And I really think if you can do Hamilton, you can do anything. And I think the creative team has said that and can attest to that. Or anybody, look, anybody who does Hamilton, they're so successful in all of these other ventures because I think once somebody sees on your resume, like, oh, this kid's done Hamilton, they can handle anything. And I just feel like the world is obtainable now. Everything is in my reach creatively because I've done this beast of a creative project off bat. Yeah.
It really is like its own school that performers go through in movement, in presentation, in stamina, in genres. It really is its own school.
Some of our scenes, and it's such unconventional theater, some of our scenes are literally like you're looking at a lens from here, and it's so film school. It's so Yale. Like, it's so Yale. Other scenes are so Tisch, and it's interesting where I know where to put my Chekhov here, and then I put like my Meisner technique here, and then other parts where I'm just like, yo, this is just Cleveland. Like, this is just you in the streets. You know what I mean? You don't need anybody's technique to tell you what to do here. Hamilton was life and grad school at the same time. I'm so thankful for the gift of Hamilton, and it just keeps giving.
Now, Warren, you barely moved to New York, and then you had to leave for tour. Then you come to LA for Grownish, and now you're back on tour. Where do you consider home?
LA is home.
Oh, good. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. When I moved to LA to do Grownish, and which, mind you, anybody who knows me, I couldn't stand LA. I was like, ew, I don't like West Coast. I'm an East Coast boy. I grew up in the winter. I like snow. I like football. I like being out. I like the city. I was like, LA is probably filled with superficial people. And, I was just all the judgy to it. And I went out to LA. I got a loft in North Hollywood that I fell in love with. I love the neighborhood. I love Burbank. I love I even found some little pockets of downtown that I love, you know. So I really do love LA, and I miss it. And I'll be going home soon for a couple of days for some things. But yeah, LA is definitely home.
Another theme I want to talk about, and this kind of leads into your character on Grownish. Let's talk about the struggle of being a theater boy, but also a sports boy. I clearly did not have that issue. I got kicked off the basketball team when I made my only basket for the opposite team, and they're like, "That's enough." And I'm like, "Can I just take the shorts home? Like, that's fine." But yeah, yeah. But there's this duality, and the duality is masculine versus feminine, or genderless, rather. We see in your character, Des, on Grownish, but I think this is a part of any theater boy's kind of journey, is that early. It's like that decision where you can't exist in both worlds. What do you choose? You're both passionate about it. And how much does the pressure of gender roles from our family, from our peers, how much that plays with that decision? Can you kind of talk about when that duality became a choice that you kind of had to make?
Yeah, I think, and it's funny because we don't really talk about it a lot, but queer people can tease you just as much as straight identifying people as well. So I remember in one instance, I got teased by my football friends for doing theater, and then from most of my queer identifying theater friends for doing, oh, you play sports ball? Why are you doing that? Like, what is that going to serve? Like, you know what I mean? So like, we only talk about one, but there's also things on the other side as well. And I was like, okay, what makes you happy? What do you want to do? What can you see yourself doing for the rest of your life? And it was a no-brainer that theater and performing was something that I wanted to do. But it is hard, and I think it's gotten better, because if I was in high school in 2021, it's so much more accepting, and you know, we still have so much work to go and so much progress to be made, but it's so much more accepting now. But when I was playing football, I've been playing football since I was 7, when I was young. So what, back in 2005, 2006, that wasn't the norm to do that or to juggle both. You know what I mean? So we've definitely come a long way.
Well, and we didn't have some of the language even a few years ago that we have now, where youth can identify with and, you know, and take on, where it's not threatening to anyone. It's just part of this younger generation. This is how the younger generation is growing up. Without all of these restrictions, you can be pretty much whatever you want to be, you know. It's just very fluid like that. And it's funny that you say that about the queer community kind of being vicious. Being in LA, there is that part of our queer community here that is not the friendliest. And I remember in high school, every musical, you know, of course we all wanted to be in the musical. And this one year, the drama director was making a real strong effort of bringing in football players to, you know, to be some of the roles and to be in the dance. And we felt so threatened by that. And the whole thing was like, oh, that stupid jock, you know, what the hell are they doing in our environment? Where it was really coming from was a little jealousy that they were able to be in both worlds and have that kind of masculinity that at that time was epitomized and was attractive to a gay boy. You know, we were threatened by that, and that's why we acted out viciously, I would say. Let's talk about the audition process for Grownish. Obviously, film auditions are quite different than theater auditions. Can you kind of walk us through that audition process?
Yeah, so it was the pandemic, of course. So everything at the time, nothing was in person. Everything was on self-tape. And I just always hated self-tapes because I'm like, there's no way anyone's looking at this. You know, I'm like, no one's actually going to look at this. There's millions and millions of tapes and people. People are probably bored, the casting directors. No one's really going to give you the undivided attention. And boy, could I be furthest from wrong. I filmed my very first audition for Grownish when I got the call, and it made me a little nervous because at the time it just said non-binary character, and I was like, "Oh, how do I play?" Because I don't identify as non-binary. I am he, him, his. So I said, "How do I identify non-binary, but also without getting in the hot seat with people and being like, he's not a non, like this isn't his story. Like, like that can be a very touchy thing. So I didn't want to play a caricature of what a non-binary person was. I wanted to just be the person. So after some talks and getting it and having interviews with some of my friends who identify as gender fluid and really getting it, I was like, okay, I know who this character is. So I put myself on tape for it. I sent it off, and the heads at Disney and ABC had some notes from me that my agent had said. And they were like, they really, 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 really liked you though. And I was like, oh, dope. I love that. Cool. And he was like, but they have some notes. And I was like, great. And he said that they wanted to hop on a Zoom with me to coach me through it. And this is probably the biggest career risk I've probably ever taken. I told him I did not want to hop on Zoom with them.
Wow.
I said, I would rather, this is the casting executives, mind you. I said, I would rather take all the notes that they gave me. I was like, get the notes written for them. I want to retape myself, take all those notes and apply them and show them that I can take notes, because I didn't have any TV film, like big TV film credits yet. Right. So I wanted to show them that I can take notes really well, So I was like, I don't want to talk to them on Zoom. I want to put myself on tape, take all their notes, and then if they want to see me on Zoom after to coach me through, then let's do that. And he was like, are you sure? It's kind of risky. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. And we did it. And the next thing I got from them was that I booked the role. So I guess the risk was worth it.
There was that superhero swag again that we were talking about, right? This is how we do it. But as an actor, I can't imagine finding out that the character is non-binary, because there's two issues, like you said, you're dealing with. First, there's the issue of, like, as an actor, do I want to be pigeonholed in this kind of role? Because whereas I think in society, in real life, we're letting labels and kind of restrictions kind of fade away. It's like, well, who do you want to be today? Who do you identify with today? But I think in Hollywood, we're still, especially non-binary, is still a relatively new term in Hollywood with the characters we're seeing. And so to your point, it's like it's either this or it's that. And as an actor, do you want to get that label in your first kind of major TV role? And then, like you said, on the other hand, there's also a community that's so ready to be angry at misrepresentation for some good reasons, by the way, because we have been misrepresented. But there's this issue of, am I allowed to play this kind of role? So you have all of this going on. Was it kind of like an agent decision to move forward, or were you just like, you know what, we're just gonna do this?
I think it was I know everyone doesn't believe in God. I do really believe in God. I know some people believe in the universe, and it's whatever you believe in. But I prayed, and I knew that this opportunity wouldn't be given to me if it wasn't my calling to do this. Everything that kind of happened with it, even the way I prophesize it, I booked it, and 10 days before I booked it, I wrote on a note card that I was going to book it and that I was moving to LA. I dated it, put it on the refrigerator, and then 10 days later I got the call. I was like, that just doesn't happen for no reason. And after having more in-depth talks with the team at Grownish, we kind of realized that, like, oh, this character is gender fluid, but if we have to give him any kind of label, it's not they, them. He is he, him. He's just pansexual. He just likes souls. He just likes people. And I think they wrote a lot of it also to like transform it into someone who was closer to the second take of what I did as well, which was so cool that they did that. But yeah, I think Des is so important because it goes to show we try to label somebody so quickly and we don't even notice it. Upon first meeting somebody, you look at someone's outfit and you're like, oh, wow, Gucci bag, Gucci sandals, Valentino shorts, this, that, Versace shades, money. We class them. We look at somebody and we're like, oh, they have on flip-flops and this and a tank. Like, we do these little things, these microaggressions, and we don't even know that we do it. And I think Des is so important because he just lives his way. Some of his mannerisms are super feminine. Some of his mannerisms are super masculine. He's a track star. He wears dress. He wears sweats. there are people like this who exist. Actually, a lot of people, more than half, I think, of people exist like this. But we've been conditioned to associate pink, feminine, girl, boy, blue, masculine. You know, like we've literally been trained our whole lives to categorize. And even with sexuality, we categorize. And I just think he's one of the first people we've seen on TV that is this Black man that is just like, I am me, I am just who I am. I love souls, I love people, I love fashion, I love sports. I'm just me, you know, and I don't think we've ever really had that before.
Well, and back to your point of when we see somebody wearing Gucci this, Gucci that, yes, we also assume that rich, but it's also that person putting on all of that label. It's like they're dressing up as to what the idea of that they perceive rich as. And we know a lot of rich people in LA walk around looking like crap because they don't need to subscribe to that because they're confident. They don't need to prove to anybody. And I have to say,
you're also in an industry, so we know that. Like some of my richest friends, I'm like, your tennis shoes literally have these, like, you need new shoes. And they're like, I don't care. They have mansions. But, you know, if you're not in this industry, some people equate brands and labels and cars and all of these superficial things and new iPhones and this and that with money. That equals money. That equals wealth. That followers equal success and happiness. And it's really... It's not.
Well, and part of what your role has done on TV has educated me. You know, I'm very entrenched in the LGBTQ community, and I'm learning every day. When I learned about your character, you know, and I started watching Grownish right away, and your very first scene, I was like, well, that can't be Des. I was expecting the nail polish and the eyeshadow and the dress because that's what we have been conditioned to think of as gender fluid or non-binary. And then so I love that the reveal for Des was a little slow because, like you said, it's just part of what Des. If Des is in, you know, running track, he's in sweats. When he's out for a night, this is what, you know, Des wears. And so that was an education for me. It's like, well, why was I expecting a certain character to look that way just because they identify as that? And it made me rethink everything, you know, again. So I really thank you because you are right. We haven't seen this kind of character presented this way as matter of fact.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes to show, what does a queer person look like? What are the signs? What are we supposed to take? And I think in you know, if you've been in theater, you know this, so many straight men are just classified as gay because they do theater or because they act. And I know, literally, I have so many, and I know they are 100% straight because they're so comfortable with themselves. They are the most feminine men you would ever meet. You would be like, yo, there is no way in hell that this man is straight because look how he's acting. And I know some people who are literally bodybuilders, who are the straightest football players, basketball players, who are gay. Give
them my phone number, please.
They love men, but you would never know because why do we have to say exactly what we are and who are we saying it for? As long as we are happy with ourselves and what we're giving out into the world, that's all that matters. Some people don't want to scream to the rooftops exactly what they're doing in their bedrooms, and not because I think they're ashamed of who they are, but because it's nobody's fucking business but theirs, you know?
It's nobody's business, and it doesn't, am I a better actor if I'm gay or if I'm straight? You know, it's like, well, it's such a small part of how we identify. You know, I'm a son, I'm Latino, I like sci-fi, I'm gay. You know, it's part of this whole person. And that's what I love about Grownish, and that's what I love about your characters, is we see people for everything that they are, the good, the bad, the jock, the, you know, non-binary. It's a complete person.
And that's another reason I took the role and wasn't so, because I did have the fear. I'm not gonna lie. I was like,
of course.
If I play this part though, I could be pigeonholed to only playing queer people. But then I thought about it. If I'm working with a team that is really smart and that knows me and knows my talent, it shouldn't matter that I've already played this part because this is a character. Dez is different than who Warren Egypt is. And I should be able to play a straight person. I should be able to play a bi person, a gay person. I should play someone who you never talk about their relationship status and what they're into and, you know, vice versa. But it should be about the person and the talent and what they bring to the table. Gay people should be able to play straight people. Straight people should be able to play gay people.
It's called acting.
All the things. It's literally acting. It's a role. So if a director, a casting director, or producer would not like to put me into their film or TV show because like, oh, he was the guy in the dress on Grownish, then I probably don't need to be working with them in the first place.
Look how you're pushing the boundaries. I mean, a black man playing Thomas Jefferson, you know? I mean, it's like there are no boundaries anymore. Warren, I want to ask you a question that you specifically can answer that I could never answer for anybody. As a black man starring in a show where black characters are central, can you shed some light about the progression of the non-binary acceptance or masculine versus feminine in black culture?
Ooh. I think we are growing. I think it's an ever-changing conversation, and kind of like how you said, I am learning every day. My friends, my family, my people who I keep in my corner are teaching me every day. I don't know it all just because I play a gender fluid character on TV. And although I've done a lot of research, there's always more research to be done, and the learning never stops. But as far as Black culture, we were just not raised with these things,
right?
You know, so it's hard because there aren't any labels. There weren't mental health. There wasn't therapy. We couldn't afford that. Also, in most Black families, we don't want to bring more attention to our family because we're just trying to get by. So no, I don't. My parent wouldn't want to have the gay kid or the kid who didn't do conventionally what the Black average household would do, because mostly Black people at that time were just trying to get by and close by and to make sure that our families were good and we were well fed, and we were just trying to make sure everything was okay. And now I think my generation and generations younger than me are like, no, we are tired of keeping our heads low and getting by, and we have something to say. We're going to say it. We're going to live out loud exactly how we're supposed to, how we want to. This is for our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents that had all the dreams to do so much that couldn't, you know? And I think now that's why we're at a place where we're able to identify with wherever we want to identify as. We're able to work and have whatever occupation we want to. And if there's not a table, we're going to build the table and we're going to be there. And I'm so proud of my community. And mind you, there's so much more room for growth, i.e. the Black trans community. You know, I have so many friends and people I've had to cut off during the pandemic who said, yes, Black lives matter, but Black trans lives don't matter. That's a problem. So to say everything is perfect and, oh my God, we've grown and we all stick together, that's a lie. That's right now not the reality, but we have gotten better. And I think with time, we will just get better, and having hard, tough conversations with people who are unlike us, I think are the best conversations to have, and we're growing.
And I have to say, I would challenge that to the LGBTQ community as well, is to support women, support you know, the Black movement or any minority, where we're all stronger together. And what I love about this season of Grownish is we have really seen these characters kind of grow. This season got a little dark. It dealt with some real issues that were happening, such as Black Lives Matter. It also dealt with the pandemic. And so it's like, yeah, Grownish, like, everybody's kind of growing up and having to deal with these issues in the Grownish style, which is so great. And I just absolutely love your message. I love everything that you're sharing on screen, on stage, and behind the scenes. You know, when you really do look at the hard work that you've done to get to the point, it is very inspiring on many different levels. I just have to ask some, because we got to let you go so you can go to sleep and get ready for tomorrow's tomorrow's performance. Just real fast, we're gonna do like quick rapid fire. I got these from some of your fans. You auditioned for Wicked, Lion King, and Frozen in 1 week, and of course Hamilton, which we know you booked Hamilton. Which of those would have been your top choice?
Hamilton was definitely my top choice.
Well, no, besides Hamilton, like Wicked, Lion King, or Frozen?
Wicked.
Okay. In your opinion, what's the most overrated musical?
Ooh. Oh, no. I'll probably be, like, sued for this. I don't love Les Mis.
Okay.
It just Come on, let's.
I mean, who has 5 hours to sit down anymore?
Don't-
What is an audition song that you do that you're really good at, but maybe is not your favorite?
I'm good at this. Really, not my favorite. I've auditioned a few times with C'est Moi from Camelot.
Oh my God!
Do it, and I'm just like, this is not. Ugh, but people like it, and it's gotten me jobs. So like, it's still in my book, but like, it's not my go-to. I will only do it if like someone's like, I want to hear something legit, and I'm like, and I open my book, and they're like, oh my God, do C'est Moi, and I'm like. So yeah.
So Warren, that was the only audition song that my casting people told me to do because I did it as a joke because I'm short and little chunky and whatnot. So it was so not. So I would have to sing that song at every pop-up performance or every, like join a night of singers or whatever. And that would be my song forever and ever and ever. So much when you do something by rote, you just like forget the words. And there's a lot of words in there. Oh God.
There's so many words and all the verses sound the same. Yeah.
Okay, you played Bernardo in West Side Story. The new movie, necessary or unneeded? These are your fans asking these questions.
I know. I love the story. I love West Side Story. I'm so excited to see the movie. That director is a dream director that I would love to work with. I think it's always a necessary story, and I'm interested to see. Well, he's such an amazing director that I'm sure there will be things in the movie that will even bring it to today and kind of make messages and things even more transparent. So I'm personally excited because I love West Side Story, but I can get how some people may be like, this message isn't needed, but I challenge people to say the thing I say in communities. There are Blacks who really don't like Blacks. There are whites who really don't like whites. There are Spanish people who don't like Spanish people. There's always some turf war going on no matter what.
That's very true.
I still think it's a relevant story. I think it's a relevant story. Also, the music is just so timeless and beautiful. So,
all right, this final question might be a little hard to answer, but your favorite moment on stage during Hamilton? We all, as performers, we all have that one favorite kind of like, yes. What is that moment for you?
I think performing, it's probably Washington on Your Side because it's such a complex song that like grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and boils. But if you get too angry too fast, you'll lose the audience because you're just like screaming.
Yes.
But also if you don't really have the rate of like taking the lid off and letting people see the steam for it to get hotter and higher, hotter and boil, then it doesn't work either. And there's some nights where I really, really, really nailed that scene. And I'm like, you did that, Playboy. You did that. So probably that scene, but also Our Eliza is just so amazing. And Helpless has always been my favorite song on the show. So anytime she sings Helpless, I'm just in a trance because it's just my favorite song on the show. So those two moments.
Warren, I can't thank you enough for sharing time, especially right after a 3-hour performance and in your time zone as late as it is. Thank you so much for everything you do for all different kinds of communities. Tell our listeners and our viewers where you want them to find you and follow you.
Yes, I am a grandpa, a 24-year-old grandpa, and I'm going to get better with my social handles in the near coming future. But for right now, you can literally just follow me on Instagram with my first name, @WarrenEgypt. Find all the things you want of me on there. But I think in the new year, my New Year's resolution, especially when the next part of Grownish comes out and me releasing some music and stuff next year, I think you might see your boy on TikTok and Twitter. I might try to dip my toe into those ventures. But for right now, you can just follow me on Instagram.
It's a necessary evil, I just have to say.
I'm seeing it. I'm literally seeing it. My friend posted a video of me backstage doing some stupid challenge, and it got like 1.5 million views over it. And I was like, how? Okay, maybe I do need a TikTok. Maybe so.
Well, I have to tell you, following your Instagram is so fun because we see some behind the scenes. We see you in costume. And we see your dog, by the way. You take your dog on the road?
He's right in there.
So cute. I cannot wait for Grownish to come back after their mid-season break. Can't wait to see what's up with Des and everybody else. And you can binge watch it on Hulu. And head to the road and see Warren on stage. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that has been our chat with Warren Egypt Franklin from Grownish and Hamilton, and that's it for us. It's always a bag, a bag. It's always a grab bag of fun every week here. Big thank you to our guest, my engineer Tony Sweet, our social media clip editor Alexis Mendez, and our researcher Mama Rose. Coming up, we have Barry Livingston, child actor from My Three Sons. He has a new movie coming out, and he's here to talk about every show he's been on as a kid. We also have TikTok star Corey O'Brien, and our Halloween episode featuring ghost stories from the top ghost storytellers from the podcast and psychic world. Please like, share, subscribe so we can continue bringing the show to you for free. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and most of all, stay tipsy. We'll see you next week. Sa-sa.
Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air. Find everything On The Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.